Welcome back into the workshop for a quickie, a bit of an update. I've made mention quite a few times, I think I've probably included it in other videos, but my Frankensaw. It is a particularly well-performing saw, probably exceeding its original design, its original design specifications. But ugly as it may well be, its function is, well, suitable for my end purposes. Is it as good as a high-end cabinet saw? Of course not. But I like what I've got, put it this way, for the purposes at hand. I've actually got a zero clearance top on it, which is simply a bit of, it's actually a sign, the aluminium composite sign, got the plastic in the middle and aluminium on either side. And I made a whole top up because there was no way for this particular, it's a job site saw, the shepack, an older shepack, which seems to make a difference from the newer ones, identical, but they just don't seem to, anyway. There's no way that the plate that goes around the blade can be turned into a zero tolerance plate, just the way it's been designed. And if you can, let me know. So anyway, I decided, well, if I can't make the insert zero tolerance, why can't I make the whole top? So I did. The rails that surround or hold the top onto the shepack saw itself are actually a frame out of a shower. Or was this one out? No, this one might have been the frame from a glass sliding door, a divider between rooms. So I cobbled that together, I held it in place, screwed it in place. This is a bit of decking, the Purple Heart that I had left over from a decking job, and a bit of aluminium section down here, which I acquired, quite a bit of that, or a few lengths of it, and that was for holding up lights over a printing press in a printing company. So, okay, and the fact that this is some of the rails as well. Threaded rod, just purchased from the local merchants, and, like bits and pieces, ply, hinges, all the rest of it, cobbled together to make it look particularly ugly, but to perform better than it would otherwise be able to. The claim to fame is, and I kind of stole part of the idea, where you have a threaded rod and you put nuts on it and capture it and you can turn it and etc. Instead, what I did here was I built it so that the threaded rod was its own capture device. I had two rods here bedded into a wee bit of more decking, and it meshes the threads onto the threaded rod. The threaded rod can turn. I can therefore tune where this is down to the last 1/10 of a millimetre, if I so desired. I'd set this up this morning to cut the 50mm piece that I'm about to make use of now, this being one of them, and the bit underneath the steel plate there, and another bit here. I wondered where that went to, and I dialed it in. There's some question what I did here, actually, thinking about it, but one half turn is 1 millimetre. This is a 16mm. This is 16 by 2 millimetre pitch. So 1/2 turn moves that 1 millimetre. I had cut a piece down. It was 53 millimetres. Might have been 54. But anyway, I thought 53. So I did 3 half turns. I should have got 50 millimetres. It wasn't. It turned out to be 51. Go figure. So I turned it another half turn, and therefore I can dial in the thickness that I need there. And that's why I call it a Frankensaw. It's nothing clever, it's particularly ugly, and it works really well. The discrepancy is I'm going to have a wee bit of a look why, excuse the croaky voice, there's a bit of dust. The extractor didn't get it all. normally 1/2 turn is 1 millimeter. It didn't seem to work this time, so you think, oh, what's no good? No, I probably just wasn't looking at it properly on the first measurement. I set it up with the micrometers, and now I know it is within it's 50.1 or 50.2 mil, so within 0.2 of a mil. Well, that's pretty rough, you say. Well, quite frankly, if I turn this a fraction of a turn, or fraction of a half turn, I can dial in and therefore cut right down to that last 1/10 of a millimeter. Beauty is I can do that repeatedly. There's no guessing. I don't have to measure all the time, with a tape measure across the fence to the tooth. And also that the quality of the cut may depend on the flex of some such items. This works really well once you clamp it down. And I'll show you. As simple as that. It is now locked in place. It can't move. Dead simple. Take the clamp off. You can take the rip fence off. It's not bound to the fence, to the saw table itself, and it still looks ugly. But form over function, or in this case, function over form. So, yay. Bought that donkeys years ago, and it served me well over the years doing different jobs. Would I like a bigger, more professional, more capable saw? Yes. Could it have as good a fence as this? Most of them, no. Those that have cost a lot more and a lot bigger. Small workshop, don't have to pay anything, make an ugly fence that works well. Who's going to complain too much? Because I'm not. Would I like to refine this a bit more? Well, I've had it like this for several years now. Yes, I would actually like to refine it a little bit. One of the things was, because I've changed the design in the head here, because I've got a bigger version of this, I had more of the plate sticking out this end, and this is why this sticks out so far. But I wanted it to function in the manner that I did. I've got this one working really well. It suits me. No complaints. The benefit of my bigger one, which is where? Oh, that one over there, is that it's very similar to what you see now being sold, and they call them one of the ones is the bow, I think, whatever it is. But it has outfeed platforms and an infeed platform. The infeed platform is part of the mechanism for aligning it. And the outfeed, now you see people using these sorts of things, and I'm going, yeah, well, I've had one for years. No, I've had it literally 4 years, and it does work particularly well. And I can have it whatever length I can or want. This is probably about 4.5 foot long, the fence. 1,200 would be there. Yeah, no, it'd be 4.5 foot long. Not 5, but be 4.5. So that's a nice length rip fence, isn't it? Some people don't like rip fences that go past the back of the blade, or even the front of the blade in some cases. I do like and that's more like the European type. I like the American type where they have the long rip fence. If you're having problems with it binding, you've got something wrong in the setup, and you've got to be aware of your limitations. Anyway, Frankensaw. Yay. Now, the purpose, one of the things is, as I made mention, I actually got my digital calipers out, and I measured it up, and that's how I know it is that slight distance or difference than the 50 mils that I was aiming for. This steel has been cut to 50 millimeters. So I got some other digital feelers out, and you can feel that 0.1, 0.2 difference there. Well, there it's pretty good. Yeah. So sometimes your digital feelers can tell you there's something not quite right, but you won't be able to know what that difference is, of course. But all I need to do is to pointing the camera. Gee whiz, David. But I can align the two surfaces and the end, possibly, not critical measurement in my scenario. With the bushings, appropriate bushings in here, I can now mark all the holes necessary that I need to then make my parallel arms, which is the project at hand. These will be the whoops, sorry about that. These will be the two parallel rails. They will be linked together with the links, which will be this white piece, possibly, and they will be able to slide in and out. Well, how good is that? Well, I'm going to say not actually that brilliant. I'd much rather have it in steel or aluminium. May still do that. But it's the alignment of the holes that's super critical, and being able to use it like this, register it nicely. It means that it's symmetrical, which is a plus. The accuracy along here is a plus, or is a requirement. And I can have at it. Now, why did I say it's not as good as I would like? Well, I just buttered those two pieces up, which I have just ripped. And if I squeeze one end, you can see that there's a tiny, maybe a 1 mil, yeah, 1.5 millimeter gap. What does that tell me? It's got a little belly in it. Unlike me, I've got a big belly. Squeeze at that end. The other thing is, turn them over. See whether they're, and this was one of the comments I made in a previous video, saying about it's a fine tooth blade, still reasonably new, so sharp, and I still picked up a tiny bit of inaccuracy. Tiny, I mean it is tiny. Normally, that looks a wee bit better. It may well be that the angle hasn't been set up right, or I've got a little bit of oscillation in the blade, but that I'm squeezing now, and it's probably only 0.5 millimeter down the far end. So not too bad, but I have noted that if I set the track saw up neatly, precisely, I can get those precise cuts more comfortably, because I think it comes down to the fineness of the tooth of the blade in the saw itself. So it's just an observation. I may be incorrect in that regard, but oh yeah, look at that. That's actually not a bad, that's not bad cut there. What about there? Oh yeah, that's even better. This was a track saw cut. It's not too bad. A little bit there, maybe it's just this piece here. Not too bad all round. Not too upset with that. The easiest way to test it is to get a straight edge, a metal straight edge, and put it up and see what discrepancy you get. And I did that earlier with a heavy bit of aluminium, and it was very nice, thank you. So the track saw blade gives a better cut than mine, not other saw blades. You know, you get better saw blades, but than that one. So yeah, I'm making use of the saw so I can make the very thing that will make that semi-redundant. If I can make these items accurate enough, I may even give them a tickle with the hand plane, but if I can make them accurate enough to use with the track saw and MFT style of top, it makes more likely to become, well, it's less likely that my poor old Frankensaw will get as used as much as it would, and therefore, why would I want to spend money on a better capable saw, excuse the croaky voice, when I've got the track saw set up? There are situations where that is the tool of choice, no questions asked. That is why when I see these videos when they say, oh, you know, you don't have to have one of these anymore, you've got this. Well, that's only true under specific circumstances. There is nothing better than a saw like this, bench saw, for doing lots of ripping, you know, like lots of strips and what have you. You can't really do that with a track saw at all. So anyone that says that you don't need a bench saw, you can do everything with a miter saw, you know, drop saw, or a track saw, yeah, they're being a little bit disingenuous, or at least misguided or misguiding, in that, yes, you can do away with a bench saw for many uses. And in fact, if I wanted to cut down an 8x4 sheet or a 2 4x12 sheet, I'd actually prefer this, not this. If I had a big parallel arm saw, I still might prefer this. So you can see that I'm being objective as I can. But for the times that I do need this, I ain't getting rid of this anytime soon, nor am I going to spend a lot of money to get a cabinet saw that my track saw can do a lot of. But I can't get rid of my bench saw. So, yay, keeping it. Always was. Never had any other choice or thought. Rightio, that's it. Just thought I'd show you a little bit more of my Frankensaw. But quite frankly, it is franken good. So there you go. Okay, that's it. I'm off. Better start doing some of this and see how clever I am in the design and the application, cutting, pivots, all the rest of it, and see how we go. Rightio, in the next one. See you then. Bye.